check and prior
This
restraint.
is not a First Amendment thing.
If you don't calm down, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Lady, I got buddies who died face down in the muck so that you and I can enjoy this family restaurant.
I'm out of here.
Hey, dude, don't go away, man. Come on, this affects all of us, man.
This is a different kind of war, and there are great stakes in the balance.
In the 60s, I met Dan Ellsberg during a march against the Vietnam War. Dan Ellsberg then was a hawk. He was involved with the American government, and he believed that what we were doing in Vietnam was absolutely right. Dan was running up and down hills with a machine gun, firing at the Vietnamese. So when he and I had a discussion about the Vietnam War, or about the Peace March, he really tended to treat me as an idiot, communist, lefty, whatever. He absolutely had no respect for the people who were marching against the war. He saw it as un-American and unpatriotic. But it's absolutely clear that Dan had a great zest for battle. There were parts of Dan that were very self-destructive. You wouldn't have had the Pentagon Papers unless you had somebody who was willing to put his life at risk. Pentagon Papers were massive. It was a study that had been done at the government's request by RAND. And the study was to look back at America's history with Vietnam. And to some extent, to try and figure out why we were there.
The key to the situation remains the cessation of infiltration from the north into the
It's a little
south.
bit odd when you think of it, that in the middle of a war, the Secretary of Defense has to find out why we're in the war. And a few people had access to it, not many. One of them, named Daniel Ellsberg, who had worked on one of the chapters, had had an epiphany.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States.
So the Pentagon Papers was an in-house, top-secret U.S. government assessment of what happened right, what happened wrong in Vietnam.